Alright, this first page is basically just saying that I'm working on a 4L80E, and this says do this if the transmission's apart. I got a little helper. So the first and second steps were that front page where I was installing some different springs in the pump and clearancing a hole in the pump. Those don't apply since the transmission is not out. So step 3 is our first step. And up here in the front, I have to remove a C-clip and pull out the pressure relief valve. So that's what I'm going to do. So I guess first specialty tool, I've got some various snap ring pliers, which don't cost a whole lot. They're well worth having around in the shop. Come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. My buddy Stevosaurus, he'd be saying right now, "Come on, sweetheart." I think I'm gonna start telling it to come on, sweetheart, too. Or I might see if I can find some different snap ring pliers. Come on, sweetheart. Yeah. Got it. So now we'll bring this back to our workbench and see what we got to do for the instructions. I can see up in there, and I have a type 2 pressure relief, not a type 1. So the only difference on the instructions is whether I need the bushing or not. So I do not need it. So I have a new boost valve, I have the new springs that come in the kit, and I have this new washer here. You can see the washer. So that's all assembled, comes with a new clip. So I will put that up in there carefully. Okay. Now I have a feeling this is going to take some force along with my C-clip pliers. Let's see if I can do this. I got an idea. So we are going up with the boost valve, the washer, the springs. Okay, that feels way better. Don't know what was jammed up, but something was. Okay, now I am going to kind of build my own little jack. Alright, by using 3/8 extensions, and I'm working on figuring out what can be wedged, such as this here 2x4 under the extension. Alright, that's looking good so far. And wouldn't you know, I have other C-clip tools. I set my C-clip pliers up wrong, so I'm gonna swap them around real quick. Oh boy, this is going to be awesome. As soon as it works, it's going to be awesome. No. The C-clip is in the bore, it's just not in place. There. We have positive engagement. Gee. Step 3 is done. Ugh. Now I have to replace one of these bolts with a stronger bolt. I think it's this one here, which is the pump bolt. Let's see. Way too small. Just right. This is a T40 bolt that's coming out. I actually can't tell you why this has to come out, why they deemed it not strong enough, but I'm just going to go ahead and believe them. Now, just like I've mentioned before, as far as power tools and stuff goes, I like to start the threads by hand to make sure they will actually go in. Honestly, I don't believe that's any stronger. They just stripped out. What the heck? Well, I guess it's tight. I don't like it. Alright, next. Install new cup seals with a 5/16 punch until seated. My 5/16 punch definitely looks like it might be a brake slide bolt that's also 5/16. That is seated. So I've got this plate right here, and it's going to be a relief valve, and I have to use a supplied drill bit and drill a hole right through the valve body right there. Now this is going to get brake cleaned before I put it back together, but there are a lot of shavings. I'm going to shop vac this right now before I go any further. So I assembled the check valve, which the plate was used for a template to drill the hole. And now on the back side of the valve body, we've got to drill another hole. And it says to use an 1/8" drill bit first. I actually ended up using a 1/16 and then an 1/8 and then my 3/16. 2 cans of brake clean later, and seems pretty clean. I'm gonna give it another air blow job before I do actually put it back together, but there's that hole. Everything's good and clean. All right, now right here I've got to pop a roll pin out And over here, I've got to pop a roll pin out and replace a couple items as deemed necessary. 93 and up, reuse original springs, and new steel and plug and O-ring is used. And 91, 92 models, you do something different, but this is a 97, okay? Adjusting shift firmness, all models. For slightly firmer, use blue. For even firmer, use inner blue. Oh yeah, outer blue, inner blue, okay? I'm gonna go even firmer because this is a 35-inch tire, big block Chevy. So I'm gonna use the inner blue accumulator spring by itself. All right, these are completed steps. Now, it's pretty easy to say remove these parts and install these parts, but you sometimes need to be a little crafty with how to remove the old parts. All right, keep that tool in mind. Keep a little pilot drill and a screw in mind. All right. Oh yeah, and that's a good punch for installing this little plug in the back. You got to pound that plug in pretty far before you can get the filter, the new spring, and the new plug in place to be able to get that pin back through. As shown, we drill 1/8-inch holes at our A and B locations and a 3/16 hole on our C location. Let's see here. A is that one, B is that one, and C is down here in the corner. Now we are at the assembly process, but we are going to do a couple of things first. We're going to replace our shift solenoids, and then we're going to clean everything very thoroughly. All right, remember, some models had a PCS accumulator. It does not mean that mine does. So, got everything clean. I'm inside this plastic bag. When I'm walking away, I close it. And now it's time to put this back together, same way it came apart. Now it says don't forget to install the relief valve assembly. That came out when the valve body came out. That has to go inside the transmission, and it pushes up against that right there before I get the valve body in place and screwed together. Now everything here is clean. I grabbed me some wheel bearing grease, and I marked all of my check valve holes. There are 8 of those marked there. And having them marked helps with identification, but it also will help during assembly to keep those check balls from rolling away.